What is up, guys? Welcome to Tattooed Relic, featuring me, the random guy on the internet that you probably don't know, but should definitely keep watching. And here we are, kids. We have reached the conclusion of my review of the Back to the Future trilogy. And that's what we're talking about today, Back to the Future Part 3. Very quickly, before we do, I want to remind you guys, as always, this is a new channel for me, and I'm counting on you guys to help me grow the channel. And the easiest way you can do that is, if you like what you see here, you want to see more content, you want to help me grow the channel, like, subscribe, and share. That's all you got to do. That's the quickest way to get eyes on it and help this channel get traction. With all that said, let's jump right into it. This is a spoiler review, so if you have not seen this film, pause this video, go watch the movie, and then come back here. And then we can talk about it. I thought this was a very good movie, although I'll be honest, when I realized that pretty much the entire thing was going to be set in the Old West, I was extremely skeptical. I mean, I'm fine with watching Westerns, but that struck me as too jarring of a setting for this movie, considering what has come before. And I didn't know how they were going to make that work. But make it work, they certainly did. I'll give you a very quick rundown of the film. If you're here, I'm assuming you've probably seen parts 1 and 2. At the end of part 2, the DeLorean gets hit by lightning, and Doc Brown gets sent to 1885. Now, initially, Marty thinks he's gone forever, thinks maybe he's dead, but Marty gets a letter delivered to him from Doc Brown, dated 1885, letting Marty know that he's alive and well, everything's cool. He's in 1885, and he's happy. He doesn't want Marty to come and find him to bring him back to the present. It gets kind of complicated from there, so I'll just simplify it. Marty reunites with Doc Brown in the timeline that Marty's in. He explains to Doc Brown what's going on, and as they're looking into it, they discover that Doc Brown gets murdered in 1885, a week after he wrote the letter that he sent to Marty. So they develop a plan for Marty to go back to 1885, rescue Doc, bring him back to the present day so that Doc doesn't die. And that's where problems ensue. Because if you know anything about these movies, you know there's sort of a Murphy's Law type effect where anything that can go wrong typically does go wrong in the movies, and then they figure it out at the very end. As soon as Marty arrives in 1885, he's attacked by a bunch of Indians, and the DeLorean's fuel line gets severed by a spear from an Indian. Once he tracks Doc down in 1885, where Doc is working as a blacksmith, he explains to Doc what happened with the fuel line and everything, and Doc thinks that they're screwed because the car needs regular gasoline. And being that it's 1885, they are decades away from having access to gasoline. So they have to figure out an alternative means to get the DeLorean up to the requisite 88 miles an hour. They ultimately decide that pretty much the only way they're going to be able to pull that off is to use a train to push the car along the tracks and get it up to that speed. And so it seems like they have a relatively simple solution. They just have to wait for a train to come along and, work it all out and go back to the present and get the hell out of 1885. But of course, the whole thing gets complicated because, for one thing, Doc Brown falls in love with a school teacher named Clara, and Marty gets into a beef with a guy named Mad Dog Tannen, who is a distant relative of Biff. Mad Dog is a ruthless gunslinger in the Old West. He wants to kill Doc over $80. Marty intervenes, and now the beef is between Marty and Mad Dog. And the rest of the movie kind of plays out from there. It kind of alternates between being a funny thing about Marty and Mad Dog trying to set up a duel and all this sort of thing, and also a cutesy love story with Doc Brown and the school teacher. Over the course of things, I just made a couple of notes here. There's a couple of funny pop culture references thrown in. For one thing, Marty uses the alias Clint Eastwood in the movie. And there's a running gag in the movie where everyone is saying that Clint Eastwood is one of the biggest cowards in the history of the West. And it's because initially Marty is resisting the urge to get into it with Biff. Or with Mad Dog, rather. There's a sequence in there where Marty is rehearsing in the mirror with a gun, getting ready for his duel with Mad Dog. That is a parody of Robert De Niro's famous mirror sequence in Taxi Driver, the whole "Are you talking to me" thing. That was hilarious. The ZZ Top gag in the film was hilarious. And of course, we got a glimpse of that at the end of part 2. The return of the manure gag. I mean, I guess pretty much anybody that saw the first 2 films was just waiting for that to happen again. And it paid off. That was awesome. I have to say, with all the set pieces that we've seen in this trilogy, I think that ending sequence, or at least near the end, with the train, when Doc and Marty are trying to get back to the present day, that whole sequence, it's like 10 minutes long. It might even be longer than that. That whole sequence is phenomenal. I think that's probably the best action sequence in the entire trilogy. I mean, I've already seen this movie, and I was still so wrapped up in it that I was sitting there like, oh no, are they going to pull this off in time? And that's the best way to sum up just how good and how captivating a sequence can be in a movie, where even if you know the outcome, you still get caught up in it. And that's exactly what happened to me. But that's it. I mean, we are at the end of this. I'm going to do a wrap-up video where I rank the 3 films. I probably won't shoot that until tomorrow, but I don't know. If I get bored and I have enough time on my hands, I may do it later tonight. But that sums up the trilogy, and it is an awesome trilogy. If you haven't seen it, I would seriously recommend that you fix that. And I don't mean this one, I mean the entire trilogy. It is a great series of films. I've already covered in my reviews of part 1 and part 2 just how expertly this series was put together. From writing to directing to casting acting. Just an absolutely stellar series. And should be on anyone's watch list if they have not seen them. That's gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna move on, and like I said, I may get around to putting up my recap video tonight. It'll most likely be tomorrow. But let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what you think about this movie. Let me know what you think about the other two. Where you think this falls in the order of greatness in this trilogy. I thought it was really well done. And I enjoyed the series. It kind of sucks to see it come to a close. The DeLorean was destroyed at the end of the film. And of course, as we know now, in the year 2020, enough time has passed that I think it's safe to say, unless they do some stupid reboot, which I hope to God they aren't going to do, I think it's safe to say that we are not going to see another Back to the Future film. And, on one hand, that's a shame, but on the other hand, they did a great job with these three movies and they walked off on a high note, as far as I'm concerned. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And once again, if you do like what you see here and you want to see more, like, subscribe, share this video. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Cheers.